I always thought my movie would be a comedy, not quite the tragedy that it's become.
All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Movie Swap. We're back to actual movie swap.
Yeah.
Last episode was more of a movie versus type thing. Tombstone
like doing it.
and Unforgiven. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we'll do it more often. We'll talk about doing a ranking video too, maybe.
Yeah. We're gonna come out with one of those where we just go through and take like an hour and just rank every Batman movie
Live action?
ever made. Oh,
Or-
all of them.
Oh, might be more than an hour.
Well, quick. little short blurbs.
Yeah, there's some movies we'll need to linger on.
No.
Yeah.
Or there's some maybe we should linger on because
Yeah.
Batman and Harley Quinn. All right, but anyway, today we're talking about Full Metal Jacket and Young Guns. I watched Full Metal Jacket and Ian watched Young Guns, keeping with a little bit of the Western theme still because,
Why not?
yeah, it fit. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. So, you want to start off with Young Guns? You want me to start off with Full Metal Jacket?
Why don't you go first?
Okay.
What have we got here? A f***ing comedian, private joker. I admire your honesty. Hell, I like you. You can come over to my house and f*** my sister. You little scumbag! I got your name. I got your ass! You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up. Get on your feet. You had best un*** yourself or I will unscrew your head and down your neck.
Well, I had not seen Full Metal Jacket, heard about it for years, just hadn't got around to it. Not the hugest Kubrick fan. Kubrick is a perfect director where everything he does, I get. Well, not necessarily, but like I get that it's good.
Yeah.
You watch and you're like, this is clearly very well crafted, well acted, shots look beautiful,
Yeah.
production design is beautiful, cinematography is great, all that stuff is always phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big thing, and that's unarguable.
Oh yeah.
To me, his stories are
Hit or
more on the
miss.
surreal side, and they're more deep dive psychological things
Yeah.
and very plotting, very slow, not a lot of characters in most of his movies, or just one, like The Shining or something like that. And they're just not as interesting to me personally watching. So I respect it, but they're not my favorite movies.
Again, technically, he is. I mean, maybe one of the best ever. No one's denying that.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this to me is another one that's kind of along those lines. It's a little different. It's very different than most of his films.
Yeah.
It's shorter.
Yeah.
It's more streamlined.
Yep. Yeah, it's not as surreal.
It's a lot simpler in some ways, and so I liked it. I liked the movie. I didn't love the movie.
Yeah.
But I respect the movie a lot, and I respect what it was able to do and accomplish with the characters, and the story that it's telling is done very well. The duality of man, showing normal people going from normal people to killers. There's a lot of juxtaposition scenes from the beginning to the end.
Sure.
Because it's really, you think of the movie in two parts, but it's really three. It's more kind of three short stories. I saw someone break it down like that. The first is obviously the boot camp, and because the reason they described it this way is there's three different fade outs, like fade to blacks, and it's right after the first scene, the first half at boot camp ends, fades out on Joker, and you fade back in and you're in the future, already in the war. And then that fades out right with the Vietnamese prostitute scene with Animal Mother. It fades out, and then it cuts back on right when they're going into the battle, that last battle.
Yeah.
So you see them in boot camp, then you see them just in Vietnam, like civilians
Actual
in Vietnam.
Marines, yeah.
I mean, obviously you see Joker meet them at the battlefield, but nothing
Yeah.
happens yet.
No.
And then the third act is all kind of the actual battle.
What's all been culminating, yeah.
But again, it's less acts and it's more like three short stories all in one movie. But then there's still the two halves with the boot
that's
camp
what most people divided by.
then the battle. And obviously, as with everyone else, first half I liked way more because there's actual character development. There's actual characters and character development, and that doesn't really exist aside from very briefly in the battle, the actual Vietnam part. So personally, like the first half.
I agree.
Much more than the second half. Respect what they were doing with it. They were really, and I think part of it with the second half being so plotting, there's no story, there's nothing happening, there's no character development really other than Joker. But I think that's the point.
Oh yeah.
Because it's trying to show how
war can
this
be
nature
like
of war, where it's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
A lot of nothing, and then all of a sudden everything goes to hell all at once.
Look, being in the military, I can attest to that. And there's a great HBO show called Generation Kill about the Iraq War that is that to a T.
Yeah.
It's showing these Marine recon guys who are in the initial invasion, and it's mostly showing the incompetence, the everything wrong with modern warfare, and it's a lot of that hurry up and wait. And so, I mean, that totally happens. So again, the realism I get, but to me, the second half isn't as memorable or good because we've seen plenty of other Vietnam movies that show the war. Whereas the beginning, we really, in movie-wise, we haven't seen that documentation of what boot camp is actually like. And so I think that's why most people fixate on the first part, because this is something new.
It's different. That's the part that makes this movie stand out from all the other Vietnam
Apocalypse
war movies,
Now,
which
Hamburger
there's a
Hill,
ton of
I mean,
them. Platoon. There's a lot of them, especially in this era. There's a ton of them over this like 10, 15 year period.
Yeah.
But more thoughts into the movie. Right off the bat, you get all the new recruits, the new cadets in there, and they realize very quickly what they're in for.
Shark attack.
I'm sorry, not in a million years is anyone mocking the DI.
No.
Ever. I don't care what world it is, what level it is, not on the first day, not like that, especially not after he's been going off on everyone.
Yeah.
Not in a billion years, like Joker mocking him. I was like, oh, come on, Kubrick. Like, that is drama for drama's sake. It's unrealistic and it's garbage. Now, that was stupid.
I can say that there were people in my boot camp, in my basic training, who did not mock the drill sergeants. We call them drill sergeants. But kind of, they would give an order and they would roll their eyes, be like, oh, f you, or whatever. And then we'd all be like, what? But you're not.
Okay, well, fair enough.
On the first day,
happen.
No. On the first day, you aren't terrified. You get what's called shark attack. As soon as you get off the bus, they're as bad as they're ever going to be on that first day to kind of break you in, and they're just looking for anything. And no, you're not going to do what Joker did.
We'll get much more detailed explanation because he actually knows what some of this is like.
Army, not Marine, but roughly the same.
And not during wartime.
No.
Or in the 60s.
Yeah, but still technically in wartime, but not like that.
But yeah, so that was just drama for drama's sake. I was like, come on.
Sure.
I love the fact that there's basically no music.
Yeah.
In the first half, other than in the transition shots. The transition shots, there's a little bit of score. Other than that, there's none. There's almost no dialogue between the cadets. It's only Arlie Ermy destroying people for 45 minutes.
That's great.
There's like 2 or 3 scenes of any dialogue with any other characters other than them, yelling back to the sergeant. That's it. It's just Arlie Ermy, and it's phenomenal.
It's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
This is the part I wanted to talk about because this Arlie Ermy is a national treasure. R.I.P. I mean, obviously, I've always been a big fan of Arlie Ermy for multiple other roles, and obviously I know about this role. Everyone knows about this role.
This was his first, right?
I don't know if it was his first role, but it was
a consultant
early on
other films. I think this was the first time he was actually an actor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I know he had worked on other films. He had been a war consultant in movies
because he was
for a while.
actually in the Marines,
right?
As everybody knows.
And during that time period, during Vietnam. But yeah, phenomenal. It's great. Am I the only person that actually thought he was taking it easy on these guys?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I get how this was a shock, maybe at the time, or maybe for people that don't know. Sure. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, I feel like he's kind of taking it easy on them. I mean, obviously, we'll talk with Private Pile, and that's on a little bit of a different level. But even some of that, I was like, none of this seems all that excessive to me.
Well, and to be fair, there are times where the drill sergeant sergeants or instructor, whatever you want to call them, do take it easy when they have to go over the training and specifics.
Sure,
They're not going to be yelling at you the whole time.
Right.
But even then, I mean, I had drill sergeants who were popping blood vessels in their eyes, and every vein in their neck was visible because they were yelling so much.
Yeah. And I loved, I was watching a video of a Marine reacting to this and just kind of talking about it. And one of the big things is he's like, okay, there's never just one.
No.
It's like, there's never just one drill instructor. He's like, there's the head one and the two other ones. And it's so they don't miss anything.
And I get why Arlie Ermy is the only one to focus on him. And
yeah, it's a movie. Like you want to streamline. I totally get that. Like that makes perfect sense.
No, totally.
But like I'm watching this and I feel I get this to a degree. Obviously, there's nothing like the military. That's the ultimate level it goes. But if you've played football at any high level, it's about as close as you could possibly get to military level of that type of thing. And it's why I would like to say at least 25% of all football coaches are like former military individuals.
That's not by mistake. Yeah.
No, I mean we had an assistant coach on my high school team, former Marine, and was basically like the PG version of Arlie Ermy. For the most part. He wasn't punching people and he wasn't cursing because they didn't curse on our football team. But
that's one thing. He would not have been allowed. Even back then, you couldn't punch cadets like that.
But he was pretty much the same type of thing. Like on you, any mistake, you're going to scream me the whole time. But then he was also the biggest cheerleader at the same time. Yeah. So it kind of has, it evened out with that. But like I get that. So you see all this criticism of that type of behavior, all these soft people that don't understand this. And it's like, he's not the bad guy in this movie.
No.
He's not. And I actually think Kubrick does a pretty good job of not depicting him as the bad guy.
Yeah, totally.
This, which I like that a lot. But so I was watching an interview with Arlie Ermy talking about this, and it was pretty cool because the whole time I'm like, how is this done? How is this written? How are you doing this as lines of dialogue? Because
improv, right?
you're having to, but he's having to say the lines over and over with the way they cut. I'm like, this can't just be one take making it all up. But so actually what they would do is Ermy and Kubrick, they would get together and they would set up a tape recorder, and then Ermy would just go off on an insult tangent, which in and of itself is a skill. Oh, yeah. Has to be. I don't know how these guys.
They have the best burns and comebacks.
They're brilliant. I mean, they're better than any stand-up comedian who's able to do it. Like, it is.
You ever want to get roasted, forget comedians. Get a drill instructor.
Immediately.
You will be breaking down and crying about your smallest insecurities. Like, how did they know about that?
Instantly. Yep. Instantly. One look, and they know everything.
Because they deal with how many thousands of cadets every year. Yeah, so...
But yeah, so they would meet and he would just go off until he ran out of gas. And then they would stop the tape. They would send it off to some PA or something and they would transcribe it. They would bring it back to him and then they'd look over it and they would pick out the best lines and keep them. And then they would write those down. And so that's how they that's how they got all that dialogue. So, but at the same time, even with it being improv with him coming up with them, he still has to recreate this naturally over and over again for all these takes and all the different camera angles. And that is amazing.
And Kubrick is known for doing dozens of takes at a time. I mean, actors have been on record saying, I can't work with the guy because he wants me to do 70 takes of walking in a door. I think Tom Cruise said that about Eyes Wide Shut. He was like, we had to walk through a door 70 times. I was like, Stanley, what do you want? And he just said, I'll know it when I see it.
It's like David Fincher.
Oh yeah.
Although
you get results.
Hey, sometimes that's a tactic they use where they just want to break the actor down to where there's nothing there, and that's a method. But whatever. Anyway, so that's how they would actually do that. Like that was that was very, very impressive. And part of me is like, for DIs, they have to have like a set level of like their things that they say. That has to be a way to do it.
They all have their own little quips and
stuff. Because you can't just make that up that much.
They're almost like alter egos, really. Because they're regular family men, and that's the funny part. Arlie Ermy, when you watch him in an interview, is so
nicest person
soft-spoken.
Nicest person in the world.
And like a Renaissance man. But no, drill sergeants are like that. I had one who said doggone every other word, and that was his thing.
Okay, the other thing about it, never takes the hat off.
You can't not? Yeah.
Never off. He's running into the bathroom at 3 a.m. with boxers, a t-shirt, still got the hat.
That's the most accurate thing. If a drill sergeant has to come in there, he doesn't care about pants, but the hat will be on. The Smokey the Bear hat. A damn hat.
That made me laugh so much.
That was very accurate.
That was absolutely fantastic. Matthew Modine doesn't fit in this movie at all, and that's the point.
Yeah.
It's the point of the character. He's the one with a conscience. He's the one that keeps a little bit of his individuality throughout the whole thing, which is the whole point of boot camp, to strip you of all individuality. But he's able to keep it because he's allowed to by R. Lee Ermey, which is kind of surprising. In the scene where he's asking him if he likes the Virgin Mary, and he's like, no. And he's like, what? You don't? And he's like, no, sir. And then he's like, why don't you do this? He's like, because I feel like it's a no-win situation, and if I changed what I said, I'd be in even more trouble. And he's like, all right, you're the team leader now. And you're kind of like, I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, they're really good about judging character, and they know the leaders, they know the idiot grunts that you put out in front to get shot. They're good about that. So they can tell when a recruit is smart and, okay, maybe we should utilize this guy differently than cannon fodder.
I must fire my rifle true. I must shoot straighter than my enemy who is trying to kill me. I must shoot him before he shoots me. I will.
All right. So I talked about it a little before, all the juxtaposition, the stuff that happens in the beginning that then pays off later at the end. I mean, from R. Lee Ermey's speech about if you hesitate, you're a dead Marine, and then at the end, Joker hesitates. That whole thing. We got Joker talking about how can you kill women and children. Has to shoot the woman at the end. There's a lot of that. Throughout the whole movie, which is done really well.
Yeah.
Then okay, so the Private Pile character. One, Vincent D'Onofrio is another national treasure, and it's just phenomenal. And this is his first major role, and you're like,
well, what a way to come on
first time? What?
Talk about a memorable character. That is the one thing you do not want to be compared to in boot camp is Gomer Pyle.
Yes. And so obviously the breakdown of the characters, the whole plot of the first short film, whatever you want to call it, first act.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting thing that was talking about how it's basically Joker's fault. This whole character. Because again, as we talked about before, he's allowed to keep part of his individuality, and then he's turned into the mother figure to the Private Pile character, with obviously R. Lee Ermey being the hard father figure. And then you have him berating him and trying to get him to do all these things, and then you have Joker coming in, being nice to him.
Kind of undoing
and undoing all that stuff. So then basically the character ends up splitting, and by the end, he's just gone. He's a complete mess, and he's gone.
Snaps.
So it's basically, well, it's Joker's fault, but it's then Hartman's fault for putting Joker in charge of Private Pile, which is really a bizarre thing to happen with this movie and with this character. It really feels out of place that would even happen, because again, it does so much damage in the long run. And I also love the character of Animal Mother, which is basically what Hartman is trying to make Private Pile into. Because they're the same type.
Marine.
Mentally slow.
Killing machine.
Not really there. But if you can turn that into your formula, it's then going to be no questions asked, straightforward, no fear.
Which, no offense, is what the Marine Corps is looking for. They're looking for the jarhead. They're looking for the dumb 19-year-old who may be an idiot, but can kill the rifle.
Yep.
And look, we have plenty of those in the Army too. The Army is not full of Einsteins.
And that's what Private Pile is on his way to eventually being, but then Joker's in there undoing that along the way, which is a very interesting thing. So I like that breakdown a lot. I also think the character's completely ridiculous.
Joker?
No. Private Pile.
Oh.
I'm sitting here, I'm like, this character, it should not be in this in any way, shape, or form. Even in Vietnam, weren't the Marines still volunteer? They didn't have a draft for Marines.
I don't know. I mean, they had a draft in Vietnam, but I don't know if it was.
I know, but I'm pretty sure it was just for Army and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure the other branches were still volunteer, especially something like the Marines.
Yeah,
I don't think the Marines have ever had a draft.
Yeah, they're pretty stingy about who they.
So you wouldn't have these type of people in the Marines boot camp.
Guys like that would get weeded out in mess.
You definitely wouldn't
before.
have a character like Private Pyle, and he wouldn't stay there by any means. He's mentally slow. Like he's challenged. You know, he's not there. You're not just going to keep him here with all this stuff. And they even talk about Section 8. Like Section 8, and then they don't. Like, he just stays from... And so the whole time I'm watching this, I'm just like, why is this character still here? There's no way this character would be in this situation. But it's a movie. It's part of the movie
Also
thing.
back in the 60s, so it's different.
Right.
I don't know. I can't.
The whole time I was just kind of like, it's a little rough. I don't get why this character's still around. Like, just forever.
Well, once you take the oath, you can't leave either by Section 8 or getting kicked out or graduating. So
Right. I mean, I understand why the character's not leaving. But why, like, someone's not putting him somewhere else at this point.
Yeah.
Anyway. But it's a movie. It works. All that stuff's great. Boot camp's amazing. So I want to ask you, is any of that stuff that you experienced?
Oh,
your boot camp, even though it's decades later?
Yeah, I mean, having the total line in your bunk room and just getting demolished for, I mean, nothing really. I mean, there are times where you didn't have to do anything and you'll get torn apart.
Yeah.
I mean, rifle qualification, it was kind of funny because in some ways I was a little bit like Gomer Pyle, not anywhere near like him, but I was, I screwed up a lot of times in basic training, but then I was top marksman where my drill sergeant was like, I was not expecting that from you, Rivenbark or Rivenbark, whatever you call me. But it is very accurate. Again, I wasn't in the Marine Corps, but Army basic training and Marine boot camp are fairly similar. There's a little bit longer.
There's not much you can vary in basic training.
No. And it's one of those proven formulas where they have not changed a whole lot over the years. It's gotten a little bit more laxed lately because of how stupid our generation is and sensitive. But overall, it's pretty much the same schedule and way they ran it back in World War II and beyond. And it's proven. But no, this movie is very accurate in its depiction. I mean, the only movie that comes close to like the way they're treated and everything like that would be a little bit of Hacksaw Ridge when Vince Vaughn first comes in. But even then, that's a little Hollywood. But this movie is the gold standard for boot camp. For good reason.
Yeah. Fantastic. So more into the movie itself. Came out in 1987 and a budget of $30 million.
Okay.
Only made $46.3 million. And that was only domestic. I couldn't find any numbers for an international box office at all.
Yeah, I mean,
which was very weird.
I wonder how much internationally they showed it. I mean, I'm sure not in Asia and Vietnam for sure. But yeah, weird.
But it was the number 19th grossing movie in 1987.
Oh, wow.
It was right behind Crocodile Dundee and right in front of Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Both good movies, by the way, that I like. Now, one thing I think for maybe not doing as well as it could have is it came out in summer of 87.
Okay.
Do you know what came out in December of 86?
No.
Platoon.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's really bad timing.
Yes.
Because there's only so much overlap. I mean, granted...
Platoon came out like 7 months before Full Metal Jacket. It was probably still in theaters at the time.
Maybe.
In some places.
And again, Vietnam was still such a hot topic. You don't want to tread on any more than you have to. And Platoon takes the cake for messed up. Vietnam was horrible. We get it.
And Platoon made $132.7 million. Wow. So in comparison, it made almost $100 million more than Full Metal Jacket. But again, Platoon is much more of a movie.
Yeah.
It's a Hollywood movie with characters, with a plot, with story.
I hate Platoon, but I agree.
I'm not a huge fan of Platoon either, but it's more of that. This is not. This is a very different, non-traditional type of
different
film.
Movies within the movie, really.
Yeah. So I do get, and it was first. So it was first. It had bigger names. There's Matthew Modine wasn't a huge name at this time. D'Onofrio was nobody. Nope. Arlie Ermey was nobody.
Nope.
So there's no names in this movie.
I get that.
There's a bunch of huge names in Platoon.
Shane alone
came before. Get it. That makes sense. Platoon, I think, was the third highest rated movie in 87.
I hate that movie.
So that didn't help it a lot.
No, I didn't know that. God.
All the Paris Island stuff was filmed in the UK.
Really?
Which is, to me, painfully obvious. Because
there's
it does not look like South Carolina. There's no trees.
It
doesn't look
swampland. Yeah,
it doesn't look anything like South Carolina. But
I was in Missouri, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, some ratings with this: an 8.3 on IMDb, which is
Pretty
high.
good.
That's
Yeah.
very high for IMDb. It's got another high one for Letterboxd, 4.1.
Wow, yeah.
So very high there. And then that continues with Rotten Tomatoes, 91% audience or critic score
Okay.
and 94% audience score
Oh, wow.
for Full Metal Jacket. So across the board, high marks,
Yeah.
deserved, good movie.
Yeah, solid.
And so I was happy to see it.
Well, good deal.
sure.
All right.
MICKEYMOUSE, Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Forever let us hold our banner high, 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 high.
All right, so now we're gonna move on and watch Young Guns. Kept with the Western theme from the last episode, and surprised you hadn't seen this movie.
Yeah.
And just with the star power that is in it, but
Undeniable.
I'm curious to see your thoughts on Young Guns.
Hey, Doc, how many does that make? 25?
5.
We'll call it 10.
Yeah. Gonna be honest. Didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm more curious to hear why you like it. I mean, I feel like I kind of have an idea. It's 80s, the cast alone, it's Western. Is there anything beyond that?
It's awesome.
I have to disagree. I was not a fan really, and I thought I would be because all the things mentioned before, 80s Western. I love most of the people in this cast, most of them. Yeah, it didn't work for me. It didn't.
All right, well, the floor is yours. I'm waiting for some elaboration.
All right. Well, first of all, this movie starts as if you've been here for 20 minutes. It just, I mean, and movies typically do. You have to have your starting, activating event. But this one, I mean, it starts with first it starts with that weird MTV montage opening of all of them in front of the camera doing their poses. And
It's awesome.
okay, but again, 80s, totally fine with that. But then it opens with Terrence Stamp. I always confuse him and Malcolm McDowell, but Terrence Stamp and Kiefer in town. And then out of nowhere, Emilio Estevez is like being chased by the law or whatever, and they just immediately bring him into the game that they have or whatever. I mean, within 5 minutes, we have no idea who Kiefer is. We have no idea who Terrence Stamp is. We have no idea who Emilio is. And he immediately goes to the ranch and meets the rest of the gang, which is what, Lou, Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen.
Charlie says Mako.
I don't even remember his name.
That's
I just remember his terrible accent.
And then I don't remember the guy who's Dirty Steve.
Dermot Mulroney.
Yeah.
And I forgot the other one, the one from Back to the Future, 3D.
No. His name's like says Manko or something. The actor. It's
Oh.
something like that.
Yeah,
It's
I forgot.
I don't remember how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, it's
but
weird,
It's
but
something like that.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and Charlie Sheen.
Of course, who was my favorite back in the day. I love 80s and 90s Charlie Sheen,
Oh yeah, Charlie Sheen's great.
which is also why this movie did not work for me because he dies 30 minutes into it.
It's halfway.
It's not half. It's not.
It's halfway.
Maybe close, but so that's a big problem right there. You kill Charlie Sheen, who's my favorite. Okay, fine. You still got a great star power. I'm gonna be honest. Emilio's not good. He's not.
I like him.
I like him.
a lot
I've liked him
this
in other
movie.
movies, but
I like him a lot in this movie.
I hate him in this movie. I hate his character in this movie.
You're supposed to.
I know, but when Charlie Sheen gets killed, and you're like, okay, there goes the leader I liked, and
Right.
now Billy the Kid, who's some lunatic.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but I just want him to die the whole time. Even though he does in real life, we don't get to see it. Everybody else dies.
Because you got to watch Young Guns too.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You didn't know there was a sequel?
I know there's a sequel, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they show him getting killed in that one.
I don't remember.
Oh my god.
To be perfectly honest, I don't remember.
Although I hear a lot of people like the
I've
sequel.
only seen Young Guns 2 once.
Okay.
I don't like it nearly as much as the first one. It's fine. It's still good.
Yeah.
But I like the first one much better.
Well, I mean, yes, well, everybody knows.
They have a better line. I wish they had this in the first movie Because in the second movie, you know, the Billy Kid's is established more, the outlaw and stuff. So he does a thing where when he comes up to someone and like draws on him, he says, "I'll make you famous." And that's like the thing he'll say to people, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
And I wish they had that in this movie because that line's just so good. And you have the score from Bon Jovi in Young Guns 2, which is fantastic. And that's where Blaze of Glory was written for that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's some. I mean, Young Guns 2 is fine, but I like the first one better.
Yeah. So we meet the gang, and I don't even know most of their names. I mean, I know.
Yeah. I don't remember their names.
Yeah, and it's not from. I think that's the movie's fault, really, because again, it just throws you in there, and they're supposed to be this like gang of friends or whatever, and there's very little interaction, and then. Not even 20 minutes into the movie, Terrence Stamp gets killed.
Well, yeah, that's the inciting incident.
I get it, but it was so out of nowhere, and the way it was done made no sense. And that's the other thing about this movie. Stuff just happens. And not your typical movie, okay, something has to happen to move the plot. I mean, out of nowhere, I mean, they're coming up on a ridge, and all the guys go down to... I don't even know what they're doing. They're hooping and hollering, and
they're I don't know. They're chasing birds.
They want to go, yeah. And Terrence Stamp's like, "Oh, boys will be boys. Go with them." And so Amelia goes down, and then as soon as that happened, somehow 20 guys on horseback sneak up on Terrence Stamp, and they shoot him. And the way he's shot is very awkward because he goes from sitting in the wagon and then immediately
standing up to like toppling
over.
Yeah.
It's just very oddly done. And so I was not expecting that. So, but I get it. It's kind of like a 47 Ronin type of, avenging their master or whatever.
And again, most of the stuff that happens in this movie is accurate.
Sure. Yeah.
It's historically accurate. Now, maybe, obviously the dialogue and the way stuff happens
music.
and stuff like that. But most of the events are surprisingly historically accurate.
Yeah, there was a whole war between, what's his face?
The
Murphy.
Lincoln County Wars.
Billy the Kid.
With Murphy and, I blanked on Terrence Stamp's character. I know, I forgot too.
That's a problem.
I forgot. I know what it is, but I forgot now.
Yeah. And then, so that happens. It catches you off guard. You're like, okay, but I get it. Now we have our plot. They're avenging. They're becoming deputies or whatever. And so they start killing and whatever. And Billy comes off the hinges, and you can tell he's not all there. He's kind of after the...
He's not all there, is he?
I forgot about that line.
Come on, Billy Bonnie, go.
He ain't all there, is he?
Says that the whole movie, dude. Dirty Steve is the greatest character in this whole movie. Fantastic.
Yeah, because
and him and Chavez, best part of this whole movie. Their character development, their character relationship is so funny.
I'll agree.
Where's Chavez? Where the hell's Chavez? I don't know. What? He's gone. He must have skinned out. I knew it. That dirty Mexican dog in I knew we could never trust him. I knew it. We're gonna die in here. And he's out there doing it with his heart.
Really well done, and really pays off at the end.
Yeah. There's a little art there, I guess. But as I said, like stuff happening. So they're doing their deputy stuff, going after the Murphy clan or whatever, and then there's another bounty hunter who's Buckshot. Buckshot robber.
Something like that.
Some random guy comes and
that's a real story too.
Yeah, sure. But again, the way they introduce in the movie, this random guy comes, like, oh, he's trouble, and they get in a gunfight with him, and he's indestructible. It's
a real story.
Sure,
the gunfights all the way it happened. Took him. It was like 7 against 1. They couldn't kill him.
Sure.
And he ends up being the main guy who, like, Billy is wanted for murdering, which is very weird. Again, I've listened to a whole podcast about Billy the Kid stuff, and it's very complicated. A lot happens.
Yeah, it does.
And he has a very complicated real life story stuff.
I believe it. Yeah.
But that all is based on real things that happen and real events that happen.
But then you just have Charlie Sheen randomly be killed and be killed in a way where he just walks out in the open and says, I'm going to take him on, and get shot. And so when that happened, one, I was caught off guard because not expecting that. And two, my favorite part of the movie is now gone. And so
that's fair.
I found my frustration
getting
out there a little bit. And then because him and Billy had some type of leader quarrel about who's going to lead the game, and so that answered that right there.
Yes, it did. The one thing I'll say, the one part of the movie I don't like is the whole arc of Doc's character.
Is that Kiefer?
Yes.
Yeah, with the Asian girl.
Hated it.
Again, you get the romance.
I hate.
Although I will side with you, it's bad.
It makes no sense. No. It has no place in this whole movie. None.
You knew
no story. It doesn't add anything. It takes away every time they cut away to it. It does not help anything move forward. It really doesn't even help Doc's character.
No.
It doesn't. You could have set up all that with Doc's character in one scene where you're like, okay, he's softer.
Sure.
And that's it. Because that's the only reason it's there.
Yeah, other than the studio went, oh, well, we had to have some type of love story in this. This is 80s and people, all the, young...
That's not well done.
No.
So that's the one part of the movie.
Yeah, Mark usually hates the love story in any movie, but
I hate them when they're forced in movies.
I will agree with him on this one. It's not good.
Most of the time, if it's an action movie, the love story is forced into it and it's not done well.
Sure.
Most of the time. That's why.
Sure. But no, I'll agree. That one's not good.
Yeah, it's not.
And yeah, I mean, there's a weird peyote trip in the desert, which is a similarity between the previous movie you had me watch. So it's kind of funny.
That is true.
I was not expecting that, especially in this movie. But that was enjoyable. But no, I mean, the cast is good. I mean, again, I'm not a huge Emilio fan in this movie. I guess not a whole lot in general. I don't know. I mean, I like Mighty Ducks. And then
there's one.
I mean, Breakfast Club is one of my least favorite John Hughes films, but I get why people loved him. But no, I'm more of a Charlie Sheen, Kiefer guy. And, I mean, they were great back in the day.
Sure.
And they're good still. Well, maybe not Charlie Sheen. He's kind of gone off the rails.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe he's come back a little.
Has he?
A little.
Yeah, in his standard, yeah. But no, I don't know. The movie just didn't quite work for me because, again, you have the classic 80s movies on top of the Western backdrop. Doesn't quite work than a meta sense, but I know you love your 80s nostalgia, so I get it. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I liked it more.
I like that expert analysis there. Didn't really like the movie.
Why? I mean, this isn't really a movie where you can pick apart the themes and the underlying craftsmanship. It's Young Guns. It's an excuse to have the hottest 80s stars in the movie together and then formulate, around it. Granted, they took from a real story, so I'll give them credit there. Sure. But it's not a very sophisticated movie, but I agree.
The shootouts are great, especially the end. The end is fantastic. With the standoff in the farmhouse or in the house.
Quinn,
that is awesome.
The slow motion is weird, but slow motion back in the day was always kind of like
works.
That. Yeah.
You didn't notice Tom Cruise, did you?
No. I forgot. Where was he?
It's in it's when the bearded guy is
Buckshot?
No, it's in the last scene. It's in the last shootout.
Okay.
And it's when they're trying to get out of the house. Yes, he's one of the
okay.
And it's when they're trying to get out of the house, and it's right at the end when they're like, it's burning. We need to get
they're getting out there.
And so it's when the bearded guy first comes out. The first guy he turns and shoots, who's like turning to shoot him, is Tom Cruise with like a big mustache and
well, I do want to go back and look for that.
That is so. Look that up.
That's pretty cool.
It's when he's coming out the back door, and the first guy he shoots is Tom Cruise.
Why couldn't he have been Billy the Kid?
Because he was working on Rain Man at the time, I think.
Was he really?
Because this came out in 88, and Rain Man came out in 88.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would assume he's working on Rain Man.
I thought this was like one of his first ever...
No, he's a big star. He was just...
Yeah, okay. That
he was
makes
just going in...
Yeah, because Risky Business came out in
83.
83, yeah, okay.
Top Gun was 86.
Wow, so just a really weird cameo.
Yeah, just randomly. I don't know who exactly he was friends with to just show up.
How much you want to bet maybe he like auditioned at first and then Rain Man happened? And
I highly doubt he worked on Rain Man. That he was a part of that for like 5-6 years, like a long time. That movie had a long process of coming to fruition. So
but yeah, I would have liked it way better if he was Billy the Kid.
Well, sure. Well, yeah, duh.
Hot take.
You could say I like Tom Cruise better than anybody, and I would agree.
Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez. Yeah, fair enough.
You know what? I'd rather see Tom Cruise anything, name any movie, and I will agree.
Except for Iron Man. Wouldn't have worked. It was all RDJ.
It might have worked.
Nah.
Might have worked. I'd like to see it try. I'd like to see him try.
I like to see that too. But now on to the numbers. It has a 6.9 on IMDb, so middle of the road, nothing too terrible. 41% critic on Rotten Tomatoes.
Way too low.
A little harsh.
Preposterous.
And 76% audience, so people
That's
liked
more
it.
like it.
3.2 on Letterboxd, could be
Little
higher. Budget, 13 million, reasonable, even with all the stars. Box office 45, so made a good bit.
Not
Maybe
bad.
Pocketed a little money.
For a lower,
More of a
lower
cult
budget
classic,
movie.
I guess, now.
Yeah. Definitely more of a cult classic, just to really hit that 80s teen fan base.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
Right
girls, all went out to see this movie.
Reap it, Murphy, you son of a bitch. Now it's over.
All right, now it's time for us to pick the movies that we want
The
the
other
other one to watch for next episode. So, Ian, do you know what you want me to watch?
I'm torn. Do you know?
I do.
Go ahead.
All right, you're not gonna like this.
Oh no. Is
But
it
it
long?
has to happen. A little bit.
Okay.
Has to happen.
What decade?
You haven't seen this movie yet. It's a classic, an all-time great movie.
Okay.
Relevant with what's going on now. So you are finally watching Gone with the Wind.
Oh boy, yeah, this one's been in the news lately.
I apologize. It's like 8 hours long. You're going to need like 6 weeks to watch it, so it's going to be a while.
And I'm not going to be able to watch it on HBO Max apparently, so I'll have to find other means.
But it's a movie. It's one of the top all-time classics. Got to see it at least once.
Especially if you grew up in the South.
I didn't see it till recently, a few years ago. I held off because of just how long it was.
It's not really a Friday night movie.
No, it is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all in one weekend movie.
man.
But it's one you need to see, and figured with all the news stuff going around, with everyone trying to censor everything in history, I feel like now's the time to do it.
Well, I applaud your rationale behind it. And don't worry, I got a nice long one coming for you.
Great.
Not this week.
Everyone has been a long one.
No,
thank
not
you.
this week. But okay, so I figured if we're going kind of relevant, what's going on lately, I've got one that I've been meaning for you to watch, not because of all the news going around lately with police, but a more recent one that I like a lot from a director I don't normally like. In fact, this is the only second movie of his that I like. I'm going to have you watch BlacKkKlansman.
Okay.
This came out in 2017. Denzel Washington's son, who is great, is going to be in Tenet. John David Washington, his first big role, Adam Driver, who steals a movie. You'll find out why.
Sure.
Beginning takes a little bit. At first, you might be wondering what's going on. There's one scene that goes on way too long, but once the whole plot of the movie comes in, it's really fun. The ending gets preachy. I'll just warn you, but really fun movie. I think you'll like it.
It's a Spike Lee movie.
You got to have it. And to be fair, most
even
of the
in his toned down movies, it's still going to be there. He just had the Netflix movie come out.
Oh, Five Bloods, whatever.
No, it's like I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, Five Blood.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's part of the way he makes
movies. But it doesn't really happen till the end. So there's some really. But no, I think you'll like it. It's a fun movie. So you'll have fun.
Okay.
And I'll be doing homework.
It's gonna be rough. Get some energy drinks and some sugar and try and stay awake. Now, to be fair, it's much more entertaining than you think. It is a good movie, and even though it is so long, it's a classic Hollywood epic where it works.
Yeah.
The length works, and it's never. It might be slow. It's not really boring. It never gets to that. It's interesting pretty much the whole way through.
And is also featured in the movie I picked for you. Is the opening scene they reference Gone with the Wind, so it works out even better. It's meant to be.
Perfect.
We have a plan for this show.
Yeah, we plan everything out clearly, as you can see. So that's what we're watching.
All right.
BlacKkKlansman, Gone with the Wind, and So any final thoughts here, Ian, as we wrap up?
No, I guess not. No, it'll be interesting to hear what we talk about next week. We'll try to keep it light. We don't get political on the show, but
we don't know what's going on.
No, that's a good point. We're sheltered from all of it because no one's looting a Blockbuster.
We have to yell over to the people in the laundry across the street, and they tell us what's going on every now and then. So we don't. They're not the most reliable.
It'd be nice if they broke the
world.
windows here and we could get out, but there's.
I know, right?
That would steal from a Blockbuster.
So. No, so we're just kind of here, but yeah. So that's Make sure and check out the next episode. Also, make sure and check out our podcast, the Uncaped Crusaders Review, available on all podcast platforms. We go through and review. We've already reviewed every Batman movie ever made, to live action and animated. And we're going through the TV shows, animated series, and the 66 Adam West show. So make sure and check that out. Also follow us on Twitter at Uncaped Review. So where all the links to the podcast, all the links to the show, our random thoughts on comics and pop culture and movies and all that stuff. Make sure and check that out too. And you can follow me on Twitter at MarkyMarkBrand. You
can follow me at Ian Bark.
So go ahead and do that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching this episode of Movie Swap. I'm Mark.
I'm Ian.
And we will talk to you next time.
Give me